So the bill includes a provision to create a permanent office under the Defense Secretary that will be tasked with investigating reports of UFOs. That office would, quote, carry out on a department-wide basis the mission currently performed by the Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon Task Force. What would this do if it becomes law, and do we need it?
Yeah, Tucker, this is really historic. Yes, first of all, we absolutely need it. It's a long time coming. Frankly, we should have had it decades ago, if you ask me. But it is historic, and it's historic for several reasons. In this obscure 5 pages that most people may not be aware of, it really says a lot. In fact, it first of all, it creates an environment where it disestablishes the UAP task force, which was a temporary capability to begin with, and solidifies a permanent capability. 2, it also forces the Secretary of Defense to report on an annual basis to Congress what we've learned about UAPs. 3, it also requires us to now work with our international friends and allies. That's a big deal, and if that wasn't a big deal enough, 2 other items that I found very interesting. Number 4 is that it, and you kind of broke this story a few years ago, it requires any recovered material associated with UAPs to finally be reported to Congress. And then last but not least, it also requires the government to report to Congress any adverse medical effects that have been encountered by our pilots who may have come up close and personal to these UAPs.
So that suggests there have been adverse medical effects, that American servicemen have been hurt by proximity to these objects?
Yeah, it actually suggests 2 things. It suggests that, what you just said, that pilots may have actually suffered medical consequences adversely, but also that there is recovered material, and that recovered material may be in the possession of the U.S. government.
So does anybody that you're aware of in the Pentagon sincerely believe that these objects are part of the Russian or Chinese military, or that they're foreign military aircraft?
I mean, honestly, if you were to ask them off the record, no. I think the consensus is that this isn't Russian or Chinese technology. Of course, you still have to keep that door open just a crack. And I think it helps have the conversation, helps socialize it initially to especially some folks who are just now actually hearing about this for the very first time. As crazy as it sounds, there are still people when you say, hey, have you heard about the UAP issue that we're encountering off the coast of California or over in the Middle East? They're saying, no, what are you talking about? So unfortunately, you still have to keep that part of the conversation open. But I think the general consensus is that we're dealing with something else.
Yeah, something else. I mean, why is this not the biggest story ever of our lifetimes? And of course it is. Lou Elizondo, thank you so much for all your efforts on this.
Always my pleasure.